Welcome, welcome. We're back. We are going to have a really good dialogue today. If you're just getting off from work or you're just getting into the crib, the house, the casa, I like to thank you for joining me. Um, this conversation is inspired by a video that I seen on TikTok as well as something that I have been noticing floating around in social media, guys. Um, a lot of young people are rejecting the idea of marriage. They look at their parents' relationships, and all people do this. Most people look at the flaws of their parents and they say, hey, you know, I either want to be like my parents or I want to do some things differently than my parents. But we have a generation of people, or generations at this point, that marriage is not the norm. Okay, so I want to discuss why are young people avoiding marriages. Um, but first, let's get some things straight. So, welcome to my stream. I'm currently streaming on TikTok as well as YouTube. So, if you're on TikTok, hit a like. Last stream, I got over 600 people to view my stream. Hit a like, it helps. Heart it. To support our mission, you can donate via Cash App, and the Cash App is on the screen. We're going to talk about skepticism and individualism and how this affects why young people are not getting married. As always, I would like to see you in my next stream, so stay tuned. So, what I'm going to do is, guys, I'm going to but I'll get on camera just so you can see my lovely face. But I'm going to do some of this off cameras because I can just function better, and sometimes I move around and things of that nature. So you'll see this picture of a couple, and today we will be discussing why are young people avoiding marriage. Am I coming in clear? I'm coming in clear. Thank you. Okay. Here, baby. See, I have a is I have a window I'm in front of, so that's part of the reason that I don't want to be too deep on camera because you can see the light. But hold on, you see. So I'm going to get off camera right quick because the sun is facing me, you guys. So that's why I said that. But what we're going to do is we're going to get right into the business, guys. We're going to get right into the business. So, first, what I'm going to do is I will address the problem. We're going to address the problem for about 10, 15, maximum 20 minutes. Then I am going to go into some of the theories why our great thinkers told us that this would happen. Um, I'm going to go into one of the theories by Dr. Francis Cress Wesseling called um, the Cress theory, and I'm going to talk about what she hypothesized would be the reason for this, you guys. And she was a psychologist and a brilliant psychologist. And one thing I would like to discuss is that the problems that we face, many people have already experienced. And what I like to do is point to the fact that what we think are new problems really are problems that have been going on a very long time. So sometimes we have to dig into the past to understand what was going on, guys. So I like to thank you for joining me, and I am going to share my screen, and we're going to hit the ground rolling right quick. Okay, we don't have time to waste, guys. So here we go.
They're actually fucking cooking in America right now. Like half of marriages end up failing because of divorce. So I'm probably not even gonna get married, or at least not marry an American girl because I don't want her taking half my shit and my kids. So that's what it seems like is happening for most dudes in America right now. I'm this close to just becoming a passport bro after school and when I'm done with everything I need to focus on now. And just moving to Europe, becoming a passport bro, finding a wife out there, moving back to America, or even living out there. Like, wouldn't be opposed to living in a different country. Um, but it's very sad. Like, divorce is on the rise and it's only going to get worse. Like, you getting married right now is kind of setting yourself up for failure unless you like truly trust your wife or your husband. It's a very scary thing. Like, your half of marriages end from divorce right now. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure. So if you're getting married right now, I wish you luck. Um, Keep God on your side, and that's all I can really say. Divorce rates are actually
Okay, so that's one perspective. We have some young men that are already, he's not even in the game yet, guys, and he's checking out. He's says he's in college, he's working on some trade, a degree, and he's already checking out of the idea of marriage. Now let's look at the first comment says divorced last year, you're on point. Someone else says this is America. You're lucky if she only gets half, and closer to 70 to 80% divorce rates. 522 comments, guys. I'm not going to go through all of this. Someone says it's been 50% since the 90s. Someone else says stack assets, not liabilities. Now, someone commented and said, agree with everything, but passport bros are getting wrecked too. They will take your citizenship, money, and kids. Just stay single, youngin. And that's a female, by the way, that commented that. So what we're going to do? We're going to be balanced, and we're going to show what women think, what men think about this topic, right? We're going to be balanced, okay? We're going to share what women think. We're going to share what men think.
Are you getting married?
Don't see
How
it.
many
I
wives?
don't see it either. I see it. I
That's
don't see it.
sad. I don't like that.
Yeah,
Not
I
legally.
don't
I
I
don't
don't
see
see
it.
myself doing it. I don't.
Why?
It's too much risk.
I just think it's a just a construct that people have been doing for so long, so we feel like it's normal. But when you just really look at it and evaluate it, if you don't do it right, it's a stupid ass decision.
But do you guys want to become one? That's all it is. Instead of you being two different people, you are one family. You file one tax. Is just
No, no, I don't know about
I
the
love the
taxes.
idea.
everything is just
The
one.
I
taxes
love
could
the
be a
idea.
little
I just
side.
think we have a culture of individualism right now. Nobody don't want to be one with nobody. So until I find
That's not
somebody
true.
that's
That's not true.
That's very true. Divorce rate is at like 70%. Marriage
it
rates are
seems
going
like
down.
everybody's
I guess the
selfish.
money makes us question it, right?
Money.
Makes us question getting
Wait,
married.
what
The
about
money aspect of it, like once you get divorced and stuff, people be thinking about the stuff that they're gonna lose.
Exactly.
So that makes them not want to get married.
a lot
That's
to
a big
lose?
risk.
But you can't think of that when that's the one.
Wow, guys, guys, let's look at the comments. Someone says marriage is traditional, and this country is far from that. The next comment says, if we're being real, marriage doesn't benefit the men. Someone says, y'all ladies don't have to think about losing money. Y'all gain money. There's no risk for y'all. I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of risk for women. For sure, is risk involved. So someone else says marriage is a stupid idea for men. He's living in a fantasy. There's no one modern woman have shown their true colors using biased divorce courts against them. Only way I'm getting married is by prenup. If I break the contract, I lose. If she breaks the contract, I lose. Someone else says God doesn't need government registration to recognize a marriage. So spiritually is not necessary. Someone says if you don't think about the negative possibilities, I can't trust your decision making. Every day ain't gonna be easy. Someone else says it's an unfair deal to sign. Now listen, the reason why this is important, especially for the ladies, is ladies, if you live long enough, you may have a child and you have a 50-50 chance of that child being a boy or a girl. If it's a male child, then he's going to be on my side of the fence where he's going to grow up and be a man one day, right? He's a man child. He's going to grow up and become a man. So then this conversation, you would have to look at it from the man's point of view at some point, right? Because you're a human being. And if you're a father and you have a 50-50 chance of becoming the father of a daughter, your daughter is going to grow up and she's going to have to find a mate out here, right? And you will want the best for your daughter, you want the best for your sons, okay? So I think that when people only look at it from their gender perspective, to me that's immature because we are interconnected, you know, we're interconnected. So this issue has men in the chokehold. Now let's listen to what a lady has to say.
The reason that the divorce rate is so high and will continue to climb is that you have got way too many people getting married for entirely selfish reasons. They're getting married because I want. I want a husband. I want a wife. I want kids. I want a big wedding. I want a honeymoon. I want the house. I want the vacations. I want happy little family pictures on social media and Christmas cards. I want. Gimme, gimme. There is a total loss of service and caretaking in marriages happening today. It is rare, so rare to hear a man or woman say they're getting married because they can't wait to be someone's husband or wife, that they want to pour all of their love into this one person, that they can't wait to be someone's ride or die. They can't wait to provide and protect that person. They can't wait to be someone's safe space. They can't wait to support, nurture, and encourage that person. So instead, you have two people that got married because they were just waiting to receive. Two people that really were not interested in giving. And eventually you have two people that are mad at each other because they both have an empty hand out, wondering why the other just can't meet their needs. Because that person never ever was actually interested in meeting your needs, and you were never ever actually interested in meeting theirs. The reason that the divorce rate is so
That was actually really good. I would agree. I would agree with that. Okay. Now, what I want to show is that women have a perspective on this
I know the
too.
TikTok sheikhs are gonna come for my neck, but I don't really believe in marriage. Not in modern day, at least, because I would say that the majority of the time it doesn't work out. And even when it doesn't end in divorce, it ends in absolutely hating and resenting each other towards the end of life. And the reality is that in most marriages, women get the short end of the stick. Like, women are the ones who have to sacrifice their careers, their health, their well-being, to take care of their husband and the children. And in modern days, a lot of women are still working at the same time as doing all of that other stuff that has always been an obligation for women. I'm not like a psychopath, so there's still a part of me that like craves it. Like, I yearn for it, but logically, I just don't really care for it because I don't think that it's gonna benefit me, honestly. I feel like it's actually going to stunt my growth. It's going to stunt my career. It's just going to stunt me in so many ways, and I'm going to grow to hate that person. I didn't have to be in a marriage to have observed that in literally hundreds of marriages of the people around me. There's also a part of me that's just skeptical about the idea of being with one person for the rest of your life. And because so many people go into marriages with such high expectations, like they think it's going to significantly improve their lives, and then they're like quickly humbled within the first few years of marriage. I just feel like that actually sets people up for even more pain and heartbreak, because society and just like our families have raised us to glorify marriage or to see it as like our end all be all purpose in life. And when you are disappointed by that, you just it leaves you lost and broken and confused. Yes, there's still a part of me that like yearns for it. I do feel lonely every once in a while, but I know that I'm better off alone. And I'm more so in the mindset of like, if it happens, it happens, but it'd have to be like the most ideal situations. Otherwise, I just don't think that it's worth the time and effort and pain. Not to mention, in marriage, a lot of women's needs and their how can I say this?
I want you to get it out, sister. Get it out. Express yourself. I love when the women express themselves because we have to learn to listen to the other side. We don't want a situation where we are simply only wanting to hear things that sound good to us, guys. We have to learn to listen to the part that we don't want to hear. And I know when women talk, especially about the problems to men, men got to learn to listen, but vice versa, ladies, the same is true for you. So let me finish and practice what I preach by listening to what this young lady has to say.
This without pissing people off. Their desires are very rarely met. There's that aspect of it that actually leaves women feeling very frustrated. And then when they're not satisfied in their marriages, a lot of times the men will then go seek out other women because they can't satisfy their wife. Like, I just can't. Why would I put myself through that? I've seen far too many marriages that have failed, or if they haven't entirely fallen apart, they leave, at least the woman for sure, just feeling so broken and regretful of even getting into the marriage in the first place. Like, most of our moms and aunts and everybody, they're miserable in their marriages and they regret marrying the men that they married. So part of it is also just like the fact that they didn't choose well, but like, that's the reality for most women. Man, the sheikhs are gonna come for my neck. I know the TikTok.
Okay, guys. I'm sorry you heard me moving in the background. So I have to go over a few more problems. So okay, we talked about the feelings. This is how people feel, right? But now we're going to talk about the divorce, right? When people get divorced and how it affects them, okay? Now, dang, 10 years, this is going to be good. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Hear this, and they're going to relate to it 100%.
I kept forgiving her, thinking one day she'd finally understand my worth. But all I really taught her was that no matter how deeply she cut me, I'd still stay, still bleed.
I don't mean to laugh, but dang, he got really deep. Wow. But I get where he's coming from. But we want to find a video about divorce, okay, where a guy is expressing himself.
One of my mentors told me a while back that divorce is
Fair
an
use.
initiation for a man. That when a man goes through divorce, he finds out who he truly is. In that process, he finds out what's truly important to him. Divorce is either going to break him or it's going to make him do something great. Now I'm starting to understand what he was saying. Because of all the dark times I've gone through, there were a lot of times where I was ready to give up. I was ready to throw in the towel and call it a day. As I'm starting to understand where I want the rest of my life to go, this is all happening so that I can do something great. It's taking.
Okay, guys. What we have to realize, guys, is that we're experiencing the breakdown of the family unit, guys. This is a divorce attorney.
Divorce is harder on men. People do not think that divorce is harder on men because men move on quicker. But what they don't realize is that these men are grieving. They don't have a social network to talk to and to be supportive of them, so they're moving on. Men bottle up their emotions, and that results in depression and anxiety. Generally, they don't have a lot of people to talk to about this stuff, and they're not able to really express themselves and talk about the terrible feelings that they have. Generally, men's health declines. Many men self-medicate, turn to alcohol and drugs because they don't have a support system. And then they rush into new relationships because they don't want to be alone. Now, not only are they grieving over one bad relationship, now they have two bad relationships. And then there's the kids that they feel that they've lost. Their time sharing, their visitation is not always 50%, and they feel that they've lost touch with their children. Divorce is harder on men. People.
Guys, let me read the comments to you, okay? I know you see that big comment right there, the very first one. That says their own problem of their own making, and their ex-wives are happy to hear this. Someone else says, mine found talking to women on WhatsApp must be helping him grieve. You are 100% correct. I remember my own divorce experience, absolutely one of the worst things I ever went through, and I ended up homeless for a year. Okay. I think I touched on the problem enough. Now we're going to talk about how the children are affected, right? We got to talk about this child support thing. Now, this is one of the main reasons why a lot of guys don't want to get married. A lot of guys look at the way that the institutions are built is that they are going to lose out on life because they're going to have to pay child support and they're not going to be with the woman anymore. Is more than likely that the woman is going to enter into a new relationship, and is no way around it, guys. The guy is going to feel like he's supporting her and the child and the new partner, and oftentimes the lady never remarries. So he's going to pay for her lifestyle for 18 years or however old the child is, plus until they turn 18 or 21 in some states. And a lot of guys look at it like a loss. So some guys are actually choosing not to have kids at all. And I don't know if you know this, but I know this because I'm a young man. A lot of my friends, guys, don't have any kids and they're not married. So I have to say that because usually when people go and say, well, stop having kids, don't have kids, a lot of guys don't have kids. That's the thing. A lot of guys are not having kids, and a lot of women are not having kids either. But here's the thing. Let's go into the videos. Let's go into the videos.
I pay $800 a month in child support, and I don't care how my baby mama living as long as my son getting what he needs. This is all I'm saying. Now, in a perfect world, every man would have split custody of his child, like week, or 6 months, however y'all break up custody, whatever, every situation is different, right? Like, taking care of a child is much more than giving money. $800 a month is crazy. I have 3 children. They're all in daycare. They're all taken care of. I'm married. I'm with my wife and shit. But hear me out. A lot of women hear me talk and they think I'm talking from the perspective of a single man with no wife, no kids, no nothing. Like, I know how much children take. Aside from money.
See, and this is the thing. The narrative is going to be that a lot of guys don't understand. We understand, ladies. We have sisters. We have aunties, first cousins. We date women. We're in relationships or been in relationships. We understand the problem. Okay? So we have to create this dialogue, okay?
Money. I know how much children take. But like when women get mad that the mama is broke, the child is taken care of, and the dad is doing well, they're just mad at themselves. I don't care if that man is paying. If you done put that man on child support, whatever you get from child support, that's if I was a man on child support, I'm not giving a penny above child support. Not to the woman. Now, if the school called me, hey, this is a field trip, woo, whatever, and I could pay the school directly or pay directly for whatever my child needs above that $800, I would gladly do that. But that woman asked me for some, my light's about to get turned off. Bring my baby over here, sweetie. I paid child support. I paid that child support you put me on. He can come stay with me while you get your shit together. But a broke woman who done put a man on child support, or a broke woman and a child is taken care of, like financially by the man, and he get his baby and all that, and she just broke and dusty, that ain't got nothing to do with nobody but her. And people get so mad at that. People be pissed at that. As if it's harder to be a mom than it is to be a dad. It ain't harder, it's just different. People don't value fatherhood. And that's really scary. All you hear, cause men don't get on the internet and complain about taking care of their kids, right? But all you hear is women complain about their kids. Really, they just be scared to say, I regret having these kids. Women be terrified to say that shit. Because it's messed up. But really, that's what be going on. A lot of these women complain about their baby daddies, and their baby daddies be doing everything they can for that child. More than the mom.
Is that true or is that false? Is it that a lot of women are just rejecting motherhood? Right? Is it that a lot of women don't want to be mothers? I think it's truth to that. It's a video that I seen earlier today. This sister was cooking, and basically what she was going in on is that, let me see if I can find it. She basically was advocating to give the child to the father and to go, off and do what she wants to do. And we have to look at it from both sides. Okay. Now, to me, I'm gonna state my opinion on this. I do think that if you have a child, male or female, that's your child. You should be responsible for your child. The child didn't ask to come into the world. Okay. But do I think that the child support system is weaponized? Of course. Women know this. Men know this. So now we're in a situation now where people are rejecting marriage. And we don't know how this is going to turn out. Now, this is still level 1 of the talk. I'm about to really get deeper into this. I'm about to go deeper into the psychology and the breakdown of this. But I just wanted to highlight some of the problems, what people are saying.
Hey, I'm Chris.
I had to chime in on this. So my ex did something like this, right? We had an agreement between us, and it could have just stayed like that. It benefited everybody. And he honored our agreement one time, the agreement that he came up with and I agreed to. So we went to court, and He was only required to pay me. It was like $776 a month. That literally covered daycare only on a 4 week month. So I had daycare for the month with 5 weeks. Right? Cool. It's just fine. And just, we got 2 kids. So we go to court because he literally only paid child support once on time, and it became a inconvenience. And so we go to court, and he walks in with a smile on his face. They gonna make me pay you less anyway. It went from $776 to $996, and there's more, but I'll tell that later.
Okay, so basically the guy has to pay about $9,000 a year. Part of the conversation that I think about is that it's sad that two adults are fighting over things that's not even in the grand scheme of things a lot of money, especially if it's one child. Imagine a person taking you to court for a child that you made and asking you to pay $6,000 or something like that in a year or something, $600 a month. And it's like, so from my perspective, I'm not one of the guys that look at it like, oh, I don't want to. Nah, but I do get where guys are coming from. It's like, it's the insult that guys are really upset about. Like, they feel insulted. Like, how could you try to put me on something now? You know, um, and I understand the women. Now, I'm gonna play one last. Okay, I got it. Check this.
Single mommy rants. Dealing with an absent father or a father who's only around when it's convenient for them and not their child, the worst ones out there. I just want us mamas to know that it is okay to go the legal route. If you are not getting any financial support, I, in my opinion, advise you to literally go the legal route. Document everything and go put that man on child support. Because
She has like a New York accent. I can hear it.
if he is not even getting his child on a consistent basis or giving you the sense that at least he wants to be committed to being there, I'm going to say at least 50 to 75% of the time, if he's not in the same household as you, put that man on child support. I don't care. A lot of women, no, I don't want to do that. I want to have him in the system. Well, I guess you don't want help with that baby because money don't grow on trees and these babies need everything. They're expensive. If communicating with the father directly does not work, I advise you to seek legal counsel. Remember the following things I'm going to tell you. Document everything. Set the boundaries that you want for yourself and your child. And keep detailed records of you and the conversations that you have with your child's father about any financial obligations toward the child or the lack of thereof. And even before, let's just say, going the legal route, try a mediation with your child's father and see that you can get something in writing and possibly notarized if he agrees to a certain amount that you guys can come up with, to help financially support you with your child. And make sure that these conversations are framed around your child's needs, because most of the fathers out here are going to say, oh, you're going to use that money for something else, this and the third.
Guys, I want you to understand, right? Most of these women and men and fellas, I really got to keep it a buck with you because y'all should know better. We should know better. It, like I stated, most of these people are talking about $4,000 to $5,000 annually. At the max, maybe on the expensive end, $7,000 to $8,000, guys. That's like, are you really going to like the fact that people are even arguing about this is mind blowing to me. Now I can understand stuff about like mortgage and taking a house and something like that, but come on now. So the fact that people is like, I don't even want to give her two, three, four, $5,000, that is deep, and I can see where the women are coming from. I feel you, sister. Now let's go to the comments. My son's father has never met his child. His choice. He's 2 now. I just filed for child support. Surprise. Now, my question that I have for some of these people is, were these conversations being had prior to having the child. That's the key. Maybe it'll be a good idea to have conversations about your expectations before going into the bedroom. So now it's time where we dig deeper into the the topic. Okay, now it's time for me to really give you my real perspective. I didn't seen enough of the videos, and I've done enough of that now. Now it's time for me to really dig into what's going on. Um, what we're going to talk about is delayed adulthood, skepticism, individualism. This is the core reasons why I think why are young people avoiding marriage? My answer is delayed adulthood, skepticism, and individualism. And I'm going to show you from my perspective why that is. Okay? It's time for us to think like adults. And it's very sad that a lot of people are unable to think on the adult level. But I'm not shaming, because I don't always think like an adult. Sometimes I resort back to thinking like a child, right? Because on the inside of us, we all have we all have a child on the inside of us that needs healing. So I'm not immune to this. Okay, I don't. Sometimes people want to act like they're Superman or Superwoman. We're going to go into the theory of Dr. Frances Cress Wessling and what she was saying. Okay, and we're going to look at some of these things. Now, first, what I want to do is I want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay? First, we have physiological needs. That's air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. This is what they crave just as being alive, right? We have physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. So when these people are complaining about having a child and feeling a certain type of way, what they don't understand is that was level one. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this very quickly, so please keep up. Your physiological needs are level one. Level two is safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Level three, love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection, esteem. Level four, that's self-respect, self-esteem, your status, feeling recognized, you're feeling strong and feeling freedom. Level five is self actualization. This is when you have a desire to become the most that one can be. Okay, why is this important? Why am I bringing this up? Because we live in an environment with scarcity, because people are unable to get their most basic needs met. Most people are spending 5 days out of the week working 8, 10, 12 hours to try to make sure they have air, water, food, shelter. A lot of people don't even get enough sleep. If you go to the local laundromat, you will see people spending their lives trying to get their clothes washed. Okay, so in this level, this is our animal level, our lower self, as people would call it. But then we have safety needs, personal security, employment, resources. Most people probably could get to level two. So you have to get past level one to get to level two. Once we start talking about having a relationship with another person, the relationship occurs when the two people enter the bedroom. That's when the relationship begins. Before they enter the bedroom, they are not in a relationship. So what that means? The marriage is when the two people enter the bedroom. I want you to feel where I'm going with this. When the people before you enter the bedroom, um, one of my mentors, Neely Fuller Jr., said that you should ask the person every question you could think to ask them before entering the bedroom. And they should ask you all of the questions that they could ever think to ask you before entering the bedroom. Ask as many questions as possible. And if they don't feel comfortable answering the questions, or you don't feel comfortable answering the questions, why are you going in the bedroom with this person? Why are you going to enter into a relationship with this person? Okay, I want you to really feel where I'm going with this, because this is what happens. These people, and I'm not immune to this. People go, they enter into the bedroom. That's when the relationship starts, when relations occur, and then now a life can be born out of this. Since a life is going to be born, now that new life, they're going to have physiological needs. They're going to have safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, self actualization. And now you, as an individual, you're no longer the priority. But why are people not able to get their needs met? Good question. Good question. Why are young people avoiding marriage? Because we live in a system of scarcity. And see, if you're not understanding why we live in a system of scarcity, then you don't understand capitalism. By the very definition of capitalism, the or the way it works is you have to have scarcity for something to be valuable. So they make the resources scarce. We fight over the resources. By the very nature of living in a system like that, most people are not going to have their safety needs met. Most people are not going to experience love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family. Family is third on the hierarchy, a sense of connection, a sense of belonging. And so what do we call that? In it's a in this world we call it individualism, but in psychology we would call it alienation. People feel alienated from others, right? What's a word that became popular a couple years ago? Antisocial. People started saying, I'm antisocial, I'm antisocial, I'm antisocial. Guys, being antisocial is a mental disorder. Did you know that? Now, we all suffer from mental disorders because we're living in an environment that affects our nature. And that's either true or it's false. Okay. And support our mission. You can donate via the Cash App. And I am discussing why young people are avoiding marriage. And I am going to go deep into this topic, you guys, because it needs to be broken down. Okay. So, love and belonging is level 3. Level 4 is esteem, self respect, status, recognition, strength, freedom. And then level 5 is desire to become the most that one can be. When you don't have your most basic needs met, you're going to feel as though your self esteem is not in order. If I have holes in my shoes, if I can't get enough food or water or shelter for myself, I'm not going to feel very good about myself. Can you relate to that? Does that make sense? So, since most people are stuck at level 1, what happens is if you're stuck at level 1, you're unable to meet level 2. If you're unable to meet level 1 and level 2, you can't have love and belonging. You can't have friendship. You can't have intimacy. You can't have a family. You will not feel a sense of connection. And this is what we consider delayed adulthood. We consider this delayed adulthood because a lot of people are unable to feel like adults because we are taught that when you reach a certain age, you go get a trade. What does that mean? That means you go to school, and that means you're now able to get your safety needs met, personal security, employment, resources, health. You're able to obtain property. Most young people can't obtain property. Most people don't feel like they have a sense of personal security. Most people are struggling to get employment. Therefore, they're struggling to get resources. And as a result, their health is struggling. That's level 2, guys. All right. So when mommy and daddy fights, okay, we got to start talking like that, okay? When mommy and daddy fights or mom and dad fights, that's going to affect the offspring. Does that make sense? Can we at least agree with that? Are we so far gone that we can't even agree with that? Because I'm actually pro family. But then we start using words like traditional. Guys, we got to come back to reality, guys. We have to come back to reality. A culture of individualism may have its benefits, but what about the group? A culture of skepticism may have its benefits, but what about the group? Living life experiencing delayed adulthood may have its benefits. It may seem fun to not care about certain things. But what about the group? What about yourself? If you're new to the stream, I like to say welcome to the stream. Right now, what we're discussing why are young people avoiding marriage, guys? Why are young people avoiding marriage? So that's a little bit about the psychology. I needed to touch bases on that. So if you don't have, recapping what I'm saying, if you don't have your physiological needs met, you don't have safety needs met, personal security, employment, resources, your health is not going to be together, you're not going to be able to obtain property, you cannot have love and belonging, relationship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. What does that mean? Most animals build a nest before reproducing. But we are in a situation where people are even unable to do that. We are such at a low vibration, most people are unable to build a nest. That's why I'm talking about this, guys. I'm trying to convey a message so that we can make the world a better place. Because, okay, people can avoid marriage. I'm not even here to say that you should go get married. That's not even really what this is about. We're going to talk about, moving on, what is marriage? Okay, now we're cooking. So guys, I want to share this with you. So let me go to this tab. Let me see, my screen looks like it's frozen a little bit. Okay. What I want to talk about is what is marriage? what is marriage? Is is marriage simply the two people going to the courthouse and signing a document? Is the marriage between the two people, or is the marriage between the two people and the third party, which is the government? Is that, am I making sense? The marriage, from my perspective, let me state where I stand. The marriage is both. The relationship is between the two people. But since the two people are two or more people, okay, because they do have polygamy and stuff like that. So the relationship, let me get on camera so you can hear me spit this hot fire. I'm cooking right now. So guys, the relationship is between two people or one and more people, okay? Or however many people make up the marriage. So it could be between two people, it could be between one people and two people, it could be between multiple people, because there's different forms of marriage. Can you agree with me on that? Okay. The marriage is between the two people, and they are together. Once they go into the bedroom, now it's a relationship. Before they go into the bedroom, it's not a relationship. They're just two people. But once they go into the bedroom, now it's a relationship. But once they leave out of the bedroom, how they relate to the rest of the world makes it a marriage. This is why now, if the two people go into the bedroom, when they leave the bedroom, a person could say, hey, if this person goes and then enters the bedroom with another person, what would they say? They would say, hey, you cheated on me. I want to play this video for you guys.
Can we just finally accept that marriage does not benefit the woman, it benefits the man more than anything? I just really don't see any successful marriages. And if you claim that any marriage is successful, I promise you the woman stayed while the man was cheating. And we just didn't know. You can't tell me these men don't be cheating. Yes, these women be cheating too. They do, but I feel like there's no such thing as a successful marriage. And I feel like people feel like when they say, oh, through thick and thin and sickness and health and all that, I feel like people or the men be thinking that, oh, through cheating and all of that.
Okay. Good job, baby girl. So what she's actually saying is this. This is what she's saying, according to Maslow. Maslow is my guy. Okay. This is what she's saying. Let me break down what she's saying. She's saying that the physiological needs need to be met. So when conflict arises, and this is one of the problems, are we teaching our young people conflict resolution skills? Are we teaching young people conflict resolution skills? Or are we just allowing our young people to just go out here all willy-nilly? So what she's saying basically is that the physiological needs need to be met. That's reproduction. If the wife can't fulfill those duties, then what she's saying is he's going to, or the other person in the relationship is going to seek it elsewhere. Part of this is that we have taught women that their only value is their looks. A lot of women, and men too, a lot of people think that their value comes from how they relate to the world sexually. Why? Because up there in the blue, self-actualization, a lot of people are not at that stage. Level 4, self-esteem. You're going to think, and I'm a victim of this too. You have to grow out of this mentality. Okay. In a way, you have to desexualize your mind, which is very tough because that's a part of our nature. But just like we have to learn how to handle our relationship with our other physiological needs, you don't just walk outside dressed any kind of way. You learn what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You don't just sleep any kind of way. You learn this is how we sleep. This is how we go about this. This is the amount of hours you should be sleeping, right? This is your shelter. This is how you treat your home. Food, this is good food. This is bad food. Water, this is clean water. This is unclean water. Or as they say, non-palatable water. They got water that you shouldn't drink. You know, I see these at the truck stops all the time. They have water coming out the faucet, and they have a sign that say, you know, non-palatable water. You can't drink this water. This water you could clean your windows with or stuff like that, but you can't drink this water. Air, there's good air, there's bad air. Okay, so I have to break it down to I want to speak in a manner that even a 10-year-old can understand me. I don't want to be misunderstood. So sometimes I may go into explaining things that may seem elementary to you, but I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want any confusion. I want to decrease confusion because right now most young people are confused, including me. I'm confused a lot about things. I want to know why are young people experiencing this. So okay, what the young lady was saying is that she doesn't believe that people can experience level 3, love and belonging. She's saying that she believes that in the relationship, the male, can experience love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. But she, as a female, doesn't believe that she can get her needs met in the relationship. That's why she says she believes that it only benefits men. And then you have men that say the same thing. Because our self-esteem is affected, we're usually only looking at it and saying how it benefits the other person. Why is that? Because we feel a sense of alienation. We're talking about delayed adulthood, extreme skepticism. Some people would say nihilism, individualism, right? Welcome to my stream. We just hit the hour mark. So if you've been riding along with me, watching my stream, I appreciate it. We're on the um we already reached the climax, but we're coming down and we're about to wrap this up. But I wanted to express some of these ideals and some of these ideas that we're going through. We're talking about why young people are avoiding marriage. Okay. And I have one last segment that I want to discuss. We're going to talk about alienation. So I'm going to share this tab with you. Alienation, the state or experience of being isolated from a group or an activity to which one should belong, in which one should be involved. Another definition, loss or lack of sympathy, estrangement. Okay, now they're going to talk about Marxism or Marxist theory. Um, I'm going to give I could give a brief breakdown of that. So there's three types of reasons why people may feel alienated, according to Dr. Francis. And who is Dr. Francis? Okay, this is her. Dr. Francis Cress Westling. She is one of the great speakers. She passed away in 2016, and one of her most famous books is called the ISIS papers. Okay, this is a great book. It's a series of essays. If you don't have the book, I would suggest that you go get it. A lot of what I'm discussing comes from this book, and I am going to discuss some of her theories that's in this book. Okay, and we're going to talk about Karl Marx a little bit. So this is Karl Marx. Okay, Karl Marx was a person of Jewish descent that lived in Germany at the time. Was it Germany? Yeah, Germany. And he he believed that people faced alienation because of capitalism. Now, I'm not saying this to agree or anything. I'm just trying to tell you what he believed, okay? So Marx believed that humans felt alienated because they would produce work like capitalist items like cell phones, okay? They would produce things for the economy that they themselves could not afford, okay? Does that make sense? You go to work, you're working, but you cannot afford the things that you are trying to get. So items are being produced that the consumer cannot afford, which makes them feel alienated. Okay. This other guy named Sigmund Freud, he was another Jewish psychologist, and his theory was that, going back to the hierarchy of needs, his theory is that we are mostly inspired by our reproductive needs. Everything we do, according to him, is based on that. Okay. And so the fact that we want to reproduce inspires us to elevate and try to become self actualized. And what the kids say, let me tell you what the kids say. The kids say, I'm him. Do you know what that means? Have you ever thought about that? When the kids are saying, I'm him, what they're saying is, I'm self actualized. I went through the process of self actualization, right? Let me show you something right quick. Okay. Y'all know this person, right? Who is this? This is Deion Sanders, right? Nicknamed Prime Time, right? Deion is famous for saying that he was the greatest, right? You know, people like this, right? This may even be a better example. Muhammad Ali. So when the kids are saying I'm him, I want you to feel where I'm going with this. When the kids are saying I'm him, what they're saying is that they went through the process of self-actualization. That's really what they're saying. So sometimes when our kids speak, you have to understand how brilliant they are. Our kids are brilliant. They never even studied Abraham Maslow. They never even studied Sigmund Freud, and they're saying I'm him. Come on. So, welcome to my stream, and we're going to discuss why people feel alienated. So, Sigmund Freud says that the reason why people feel alienated is because they feel detached. Sigmund Freud said that people feel alienated because they feel detached from their self. Okay? They feel detached from who they are, right? right? We're living in a world, and I don't want to get too deep, but we got to talk about this. We're living in a world, his sign says, seeking human kindness. Most people feel alienated or antisocial. Why? Sigmund Freud said that the reason why people feel alienated is because we are basically all faking it. We're all producing a persona that we are taught to be, but we don't really know who we really are, our true self. What does that go back to? That goes back to this. Here he's basically saying most of us are not or have not gone through the process of self-actualization. But it's not your fault. It's not my fault. The reason we haven't gone through the process of self-actualization is because most of us are stuck at level 1. We are all trying to get our physiological needs met. I give you an example. Let's say you have a job, whatever your job is, your career is. You have that job to get the needs met, your employment. But if I was to talk to you and ask you, especially if I was a stranger, because people are more honest with strangers. If I was to ask you, hey, what do you really want to do? Like, if money wasn't a thing, what would you be doing right now? You would probably tell me something that's not related to your job. This is what Sigmund Freud is talking about, the desire to become the most that one can be. Most people are not able to become what they truly desire because they're too busy trying to get their most basic needs met. We are stuck on an animalistic level to where we can't have love and belonging. And that has a lot to do why young people are avoiding marriage. So going back to Dr. Frances Cress Westling, what she was saying, now look at his sign. His sign says, we'll work for food. Don't we all? Now, these people, they're in a situation where they're, if there's a level below level 1, they're homeless, so they don't have shelter. They can't get food. And many times they're even unable to reproduce or express themselves in that manner because they're such at a lower level, right? Now we have a thing that's called middle class, right? This is what a lot of us aspire to be, right? We aspire to be middle class, right? So check this. Middle class says a socioeconomic strata that falls in between the working class and the upper class. Now, since they made this picture, they've already put this in your mind that this exists. What if I told you there was really no middle class? That what you're aspiring to obtain really doesn't exist. Most people would look at something like this and say, well, look, I have a house. I'm past level 1. I'm middle class. But are you self-actualized though? Have you reached the desire to become all that you can be? According to Lola Jr., he states that if you don't understand racism, what it is, and how it functions, everything that you think you do understand will only confuse you. He also stated that we all work, just some people work more efficiently. Okay? And you know that the middle class doesn't exist because they keep changing the definition of it. So here is this. This is medium. And it says middle class in the 70s versus now. 70s, white picket fence, long life manufacturing job, a pension, family vacation, kids college tuition, healthcare. Now they saying now, livable wage, no roommates, no financial support, living independent, savings, 20% of pre-tax income, manageable debt, total annual salary excluding mortgage. You see what I'm saying? But what does this have to do with why young people are not getting married, Brian? You're telling me all of this, and I hear what you're saying, but can you give me an example of what you really mean? Because I'm still not keeping up with what you're putting down. I'm not picking up. I'm gonna get there. I gotta slow walk it. I gotta take you there. So let me play this video for you. Let me play this video. I have to say all of that because I have to create a concept or share with you concepts of what those who came before us had to say.
We need to take accountability and learn financial freedom and literacy on our own. Because the system, this is where he's correct, is broken because the American education system teaches you to be a good girl and a good boy, sit down, be quiet, and ask for permission to do anything. Take your work home with you and do your work and return it. It doesn't teach you how to balance a checkbook, invest in stocks, etc., compound interest. It doesn't teach you that because our American education system said, John D. Rockefeller, I need a nation of workers, not free thinkers.
So, okay, the reason that marriage doesn't exist is because we have an external force that doesn't support the marriage. Okay, how can you, if your most basic need, that's the point I'm getting at, if your most basic needs cannot be met, you can't have a marriage. This is what Maslow is saying. This is what Freud is saying. This is essentially what Marx was saying. Now, I'm going to get into what Dr. Francis said because I think that all three of them are really heavy. But I relate to what Dr. Francis said because she said, because we have a system of discrimination, this is why we cannot have lasting marriages. But now the discrimination is not just affecting people that's classified as non-white, it's also affecting people that's white. Okay. And I don't promote discrimination of any kind, guys. I'm just giving you the game.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for... Shut up, you can't. Shut up. Stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later.
Okay, guys. So this guy is saying that what they can't afford, okay? That people can't afford these type of things, right? That people are struggling. Now I want to play this video here.
more and more people are really struggling here in the United States to put a roof over their head. A lot of people are not able to qualify for apartments or purchase homes. They're having a hard time. They are becoming homeless. And a lot of people are even finding more creative ways to try and keep a roof over their head. Some people are even looking at storage units. Check this out.
Been living in my car, not living in the storage unit. I'm trying to get an apartment, but can't right now. I'm at the storage unit and they give me a storage today. I'm feeling mighty proud of myself today, you know. Yeah, you can see the building right here. I ain't gonna really show everything, but yeah. I'm looking for the smallest storage unit. How much is the smallest? Just got the storage unit. Put my
Okay. So in landing my plane on this subject, guys, we're going to go to a video that I made a while back where I was talking about Dr. Francis Chris Wesley. And I am going to play a part of this video, and we're going to talk about excuse me, guys. So we're going to talk about why people felt abandoned. Okay, she's going to talk. I'm breaking down what she was talking about. So stay with me, guys. Okay. And class struggle, right? So Karl Marx argued that people feel alienated because of money, and because money is controlled by a private sector and a select few. Everyone's who's forced to work for money or forced to trade in their essence and their time and energy in order to receive money, and they're creating things that the worker could never afford. And to Karl Marx's point of view, he believed that this is why people feel alienated. Okay. Sociological theories view the decline of the limited local community, right? The emergence of mass society and the simultaneous increasing sense of individual powerlessness as the cause of alienation. So on TikTok, on YouTube, on social media, is so many people who talk about depression, anxiety, feeling disconnected, feeling like no one cares. We in the world ourselves, but it warmth or the love that they needed to feel. Okay, it is because of a system of. He's arguing that letter you can FaceTime them, yet more people are feeling disconnected. We're in a world today where uh populations and some demographics are in decline. We're living in a world today where more and more people are refusing not to have offspring by choice. We're in a world today where people fear bringing children into the world because they don't know what the future is going to hold. Okay, and so she talks about all of these issues, and on the level of the psychological, a lot of the theories are dominated by the views of Sigmund Freud, which he argues that the self estrangement, that alienation is connected to self estrangement, not knowing oneself, and there's a disconnect and split between the unconscious and the conscious forces in the personality. The individual being out of touch in the sense that repressed and unacknowledged desires motivate his behavior. Freud pinpointed the Oedipal conflict and the frustration inherent in civilized society as expressing his civilization and his why young people are avoiding marriage, excuse me. And what we're talking about is why young people are avoiding marriage. So we're looking at old theories and how they affect us today, guys. So a lot of times we think that the problems that people are experiencing are new problems. But what we realize is that these are actually problems that people have been experiencing for a very long time. Contends as the source of alienation. So he's arguing that people feel alienated because they are forced to repress things into their deep subconscious. And as a result, the disconnect between their true self and the self that is constantly present, it contributes to this alienation. And while she agrees with all of these many theories on alienation and what stems from alienation, she has a different point of view. She believes that alienation does exist, but she believes that the reason that alienation exists is not because of individualism. It isn't because of technological progress, materialism, or detached rationalism over communal bonds, spiritual connections, or organic human relationships. She believes that the reason that um the people feel alienated is because of a system of injustice that some would call racism, right? And she says that since such a small population controls the masses, that this is what creates the alienation, right? And she goes into a controversial theory that since 3/4 of the planet is a certain demographic and the 1/4 of the planet is not, that the 1/4 of the planet that does not share the same complexion as the rest of the population feels um alienated. And she bases this theory on stories such as the Adam and Eve parable, Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan, Herman Melville's Moby Dick, of course, Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan, Mark Twain's The Damned Human Race, and Rome's origin stories of Romulus and Remus. Okay, so that's the background. So she says that the reason that the alienation exists is that according to the Adam and Eve story, which is a foundational story in Western civilization, that when Adam and Eve was created, they partook in the fruit, perhaps had relations, and as a result, when they seen themselves, they rejected what they saw. And then the act itself of physical relations in the religion of Christianity becomes something that's viewed as a negative, because everything that comes out of that produces a dejected reality, right? And so what the author is saying is that when they seen themselves, Adam and Eve, that is, that they rejected what they saw. And she argued. Okay, guys, now I know that got really deep. Okay, I know that got really deep. Okay. And I know a lot of people would say, man, what does that have to do with anything? Like, that's not true. Okay, guys, what Dr. Francis was attempting to say is that because a system of discrimination was put in place, we can't get to love and belonging. Okay? Because a system of discrimination, which, if you agree with capitalism, is based on scarcity. So, since scarcity is the root of, and that's what Karl Marx was arguing. Marx was arguing if capitalism is the root of everything, the system, then by default, that's the problem. She took it a step further and said that the new wave of discrimination would be race based, would be complexion based. Okay. And as a result, this is why people feel discriminated. So some people will say, some people argue class is the reason that people are unable to experience love, because there's the class is going to keep you at level one. Some people argue that like fraud is that since we don't know ourselves, we can't get to self-actualization. Some people view like Dr. Francis, because of race, we're unable to go through a process of self-actualization, guys. Now, these are all theories. So I don't have the exact answer as to why it is this way. I'm only doing research. But one thing she was pointing out is that the foundational stories that we use to explain how we got here deal with abandonment, delayed adulthood, skepticism, individualism, abandonment. When she talks about Romanus and Remus being abandoned by their parents, the foundational story of Rome, and them being raised by wolves is a story of abandonment. When she talks about Adam and Eve in the garden and them partaking in the fruit, okay, which you can look at that as a metaphor for reproduction. And then afterwards, they felt abandoned, right? And then they felt alienated, okay? And then it's a story of God kicking them out of the garden. And when God found them, that they felt rejected, okay? Another another story. When we talk about what was going on in the foundational stories of like Moby Dick, the author of Moby Dick of is a story about abandonment, alienation, right? And so that's what the author, Dr. Frances Cress Wesseling, was talking about in her theory. And I know that we got really deep, but what she was trying to do is she was trying to paint a picture as to why young people are not getting married, right? And she talks about how because this problem exists on a financial level, that she has a chapter in the book where she talks about relationships being a false problem, meaning that because people experience struggles financially, that this is one of the reasons that they're unable to experience relationships.
And more than anything, finally accept that marriage does not benefit the woman, it benefits the man more than anything. I just really don't see any successful marriages. And if you claim that any marriage is successful, I promise you the woman stayed while the man was cheating. And we just didn't know. You can't tell me these men don't be cheating. Yes, these women be cheating too. They do, but I feel like there's no such thing as a successful marriage. And I feel like people feel like when they say, oh, through thick and thin and sickness and health and all that, I feel like people or the men be thinking that, oh, through cheating and all of that. Yeah. Can we just finally accept that?
So, guys, what she's talking about is alienation. Doesn't feel or think that because she doesn't feel that love can be experienced, essentially, is what she's saying. She's saying that she doesn't feel that love is can be experienced. So, what I want to go back to is the hierarchy of needs. So let's look at some of the comments first. Some people say, I'm cool on it too. I'm in no rush at all to marry someone's son. The creator says, I can do bad all by myself. Someone else says, unless he's big money and emotionally intelligent. Guys, this is what we call delayed adulthood. A lot of people are experiencing delayed adulthood. And I'm not attacking the young lady at all. Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to express why young people are avoiding marriage. Do you think that, and I'm a young man, okay? Do you think that we have an immature view of what marriage is? Maybe we're just too immature. Maybe we're just too immature. Um, I'm going to show you something else.
Hey man, we might be the last ones getting married for real. So I went back home the other day and I was talking to one of my young boys. And keep in mind, he like 16. He like, yeah, bruh. I done gave up on that shit a long time ago. I'm like, gave up on what? He talking about relationships, trying to get married, all of that. He told me his plan was to get a really, really fine baby mama so he could just hit her forever. He said, cause you know, you can always hit your baby mama. And I said, yeah. And I was like, he young, he gonna grow out of that. But I was like, let me hear him out. Basically what he said, and he had a very good point. He was like, he feel like he ain't turned right now. So he was like, if he get a girl and he locked in, she just gonna cheat on him with the right dude, which is turned. He was like, when he gets there, when he finally gets his money and figures himself out and all that, she's only gonna be around for that. That if he didn't even have all that shit, she wouldn't even look his way. I was like, damn, he ahead of the curve. But I tried to talk him out of it. I tried to persuade him. I was like, hey, look at me and my girl. I met her in college. I was in a dorm, eating at the calf, no car, walking to work. And she held it down. She was still fucking with me, and we came up together. And he was like, yeah, bro, you might have found a unicorn, but I don't want to take them chances. He said, if I want to play with those type of odds, I could just put in a 30-leg parlay. Damn. Hey, man, we might be the last ones getting married for real. So I went back home the other day, and I was talking to...
Okay, guys. I think that I did a great job. I'm going to end the stream, but what I was trying to communicate is that because we live in a system of individualism, a system of scarcity, because we live in a system dominated by discrimination, most people are not going to be able to be married because our most basic physiological needs are not going to be met. But I still think that we should attempt it. I think that we should still attempt it because what is the future going to look like if we don't have family units to raise the future in, right? And I think that when we look at this, we have to look at it with honest eyes, guys. We have to look at it and look at the bigger picture. And we have to say, okay, is it our nature that's wrong? Or is it the nurture? Is it the environment? Are we this way because by nature something is wrong with us? Or is it the environment? Is it an external force? I think that is our environment. I think if we can get in the environment that's healthy, we will produce better results. I think if we can get in an environment that's healthy and create an environment that's healthy, we can get better results. Um, I don't think it's our nature. I think our nature is beautiful. I think it's our environment that's the problem. Okay. As always, I don't promote any type of discrimination, hate against people, genders, orientation, none of that. Do what you do, baby. But what I will say is that you can support our mission by donating via Cash App. That's the Cash App on the screen, Elaine Kim 29. Um, I think that this was a great discussion, guys, honestly. As always, thank you for tuning in.